Good afternoon. You're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Jes Delos Santos. Let's take a look at how the local bourse closed today, Thursday. All right, modest gains for the index today, but just the same sends local shares to a two-day rally. The benchmark climbed over a quarter of a percent today at 6,539.96. This amid a slowdown in cases, which yesterday was down to the 8,000 level for the second straight day. But shares were actually poised to end the day lower for the most part of Thursday's trade, as you can see in this chart right here. But another aggressive buying near the close, just like what transpired yesterday, pushed shares higher. But it's really the mining counter here, which helped boost the index performance on Thursday. The counter is a day's best performer, up 5.4%, its biggest intraday gain yet since October 16. That's after President Duterte signed Executive Order 130, which lifts a ban in on new mining contracts that has been in place since 2012. The move is expected to usher in new mining investments meant to boost state revenues to help fund infrastructure projects and other programs. It also makes way for the possible renegotiation of existing contracts and agreements. The Environment Department has been directed to come up with terms and conditions in the new agreements in order to maximize government revenues. They are also mandated to strictly implement rules on mine safety and environmental policies. Now, of course, the Mines and Geosciences Bureau, mining investors, and even the Chamber of Mines welcomed the move here. The Chamber even said that not only will this generate more revenues, it will also create thousands of job opportunities, especially in the rural areas, pretty much like what is witnessed in areas where mining has flourished, like in Caraga and Mimaropa. Philippine miners rallied after that development there. Philex leading the charge here, up 12.5% to 5 pesos and 14 centavos a share. Lepanto Class A and Class B both making gains as well. For Class A, that's over 12%. Lepanto Class A also edging higher by 11.5%. Global Ferronickel also one of our gainers here, up 8.4%, as well as Nickel Asia and PXP Energy. Semirara Mining, more muted gains here compared to the rest of the counter here. Semirara is up 0.2%. Now, another stock is joining the rally here. That's Megawide. It's after the contractor managed to actually have narrower losses in 2020 compared to estimates given by analysts here. It posted a 389 million peso loss in 2020, beating estimates that it actually incurred a 946 million peso loss last year. Now, its construction and land port businesses, though, eked out a 324 million peso net income in 2020 with 34.8 billion peso in contracts secured, at least in the last quarter, pushing total book to 68.4 billion pesos in 2020. Megawide, as you can see right here, is now on a two-day rally here as it rose 2.7% to 7 pesos and 14 centavos. But also over the past 2 days here, the stock at least has managed to gain close to 7.4%. And lastly, let's have a quick check of our local currency. That's after February remittances surprised, coming in higher than expected. That rose 5.1% to $2.477 billion, beating estimates of a 2% gain. That also reverses the fall over the past 2 months here. The local currency made hefty gains earlier, but that has since tempered. A little change today, although still on the upside. The peso now at 48 pesos point 455 to the greenback. Here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. The Senate Committee of the Whole has adopted a resolution urging President Duterte to withdraw his order, which increases the volumes of pork imports and reduces pork tariffs. Lawmakers said the Agriculture Department failed to justify its recommendation to increase the minimum access volume of pork imports to over 400,000 metric tons. Earlier, Senator Panfilo Lacson questioned why the DA did not factor in the closure of hotels and restaurants in their recommendation. Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua explained that the proposal is generally based on rising demand for pork amid food security issues caused by the ASF outbreak. Chua pointed out that Filipinos will still have to eat 15 kilos of pork meat a year, no matter if it's from their households or from hotels or restaurants. Chua believes that the increase in pork imports will not kill the local hog industry, saying imports will only potentially account for 22.8% of total consumption. The BIR missed its collection target in March on the back of stricter lockdown restrictions caused by the worsening COVID-19 situation. Citing preliminary data, the agency said it collected 127 billion pesos in taxes last month, 13% short of its 146 billion peso target. Last month's collection was also over 3% smaller than the 131 billion pesos collected in March last year. The BIR is looking to bounce back this month as it targets to collect 231 billion pesos, mainly from annual income tax payments. The deadline for filing and payment of annual income tax returns is today, April 15. Meanwhile, Iban Foundation proposes the imposition of additional taxes on extremely wealthy Filipinos to give the government additional revenue and to boost economic recovery. The think tank said passing a so-called super rich tax would yield about 237 billion pesos each year. As if last year's battering was not enough, tourism players now have to navigate another uncertain year as cases rise and as new restrictions are set in place. Hotels, to be exact, had to adapt and make transitions. How are they coping now? Let's find out from Philippine Hotels Association spokesperson Raffy Chico. Good afternoon, Sir Raffy.
Hi, good afternoon, Jess. It's good to be your guest.
All right, sir. Of course, now you have another round of heightened restrictions in the NCR Plus area. How is that further affecting your revenues?
Well, it's a good question. Actually, it's basically no leisure business and still focus on as quarantine hotels accommodating OFWs. And because of this situation, the big hotels even wanted to be converted as quarantine hotels. Yeah,
Exactly. Go ahead, sir.
yeah, and in fact, there's no such difference between the ECQ and MECQ. Actually, because of the restrictions are still there.
Mhm. Given that, sir, at least since the onset of the pandemic, how much of a drop in revenue has the sector had?
Yeah, I think I have to give you an overview of before and after. The Philippines lost around 400 billion in income in 2020 after foreign tourist arrivals plunged amid the coronavirus pandemic. It's reported to us by the Department of Tourism. And for our hotels, how much losses has the sector incurred so far? Yeah, it's a good question. Before COVID-19, hotels are averaging an occupancy of 70 to 80%, which is profitable and above the break-even point of the revenue of the hotels. But since the start of this pandemic, our revenue reduced drastically to 80 to 90%, not even break-even point revenue of the hotel. This is the sad news about this, no? But the income from accommodating quarantine guests may just enough to pay the salaries of the essential workers attending to the quarantine guests of the hotel and on paying the utilities of the hotel as well. Lalo na itong mga electricity bills, which one of the painstaking that the hotel absorb right now. Siguro I just want to take this opportunity to call the attention of the regulatory board of the electricity regulatory board, because you know we're really losing a lot when it comes to revenue because drastically it really drops to 80 to 90%.
Mhm.
However, isa pa sa nakakadagdag na masakit sa amin ay itong electricity bill because they are charging us on the minimum standard, which actually, let's say, for example, you have to pay at least 1,000 pesos, but their minimum standard is just I mean to say you just only have to pay 500 pesos, but the minimum standard is 1,000. So they will still have to charge you 1,000, something like that. I think we need to at least address this issue. No, if the Electricity Regulatory Board would be able to address this issue, this will be a good help for the hotel industry.
What then is the call here, Sir Rafi? So, meaning you want the regulatory board to at least let go of that minimum consumption that you have to pay, which is, let's say, 1,000 pesos.
Yes, sir. Because just actually, it's really a painstaking, absorbing by the hotel. If you will just charge the hotel the minimum
Mhm.
standard of charging it, while you just only consume lower than that,
So,
it's really
is this
very
a general
impractical.
is this a general situation across hotels wherein you don't really meet the minimum amount that is being asked for, like 1,000 pesos? Normally, is the consumption lower?
Yes, yes. It's
Mhm.
I think it's not just only the hotels. It's the right time that I think we have to address this standard charging of the electricity companies.
Now, of course, like what you just mentioned, your main source of revenue during the pandemic has been this conversion into quarantine facilities. Give us an idea, sir. How big of a total share does it have in your profit, at least since the start of the pandemic?
Well, that's why I said that before COVID, we are garnering an average occupancy of 70% to 80%. So it's
Mhm.
very good occupancy and really very profitable because the break-even analysis of the hotel, if you earn at least 30% or 40% or something like that, sometimes it will be the break-even point of some hotels. But some of the 4 or 5 star hotels may even have that 40 to 50%
Mhm.
average occupancy.
Mhm.
But before pandemic, we are garnering an average occupancy of 70% to 80%.
Okay.
Now,
Mhm.
after pandemic, we drastically reduced our occupancy to 80 to 90%. So it
Okay.
means that we just only have 20 or 10%, something like
Got
that.
it, sir. Okay, just going back to what you were saying earlier about energy consumption, should the regulatory board at least approve this proposal, how much do you expect to save?
Well, I think it's a good help. At maybe if they will just charge the actual consumption of the hotel electricity, it may help a lot.
Do you have a study here as to by how much at least that would help ease the burden?
Maybe about 20% to 30%, it may help reduce. Yeah.
But question now is, for how long can you still manage this level of activity here for the hotel sector?
Well, as long as the government is really still supporting us, because most of the hotels that we're catering to are quarantine hotels,
Mm-hmm.
and we thank so much the OWA for giving us this, for supporting us. Itong mga OFWs natin,
Mm-hmm.
in fact, we are already fully booked because of that. That's the reason why we can no longer accept isolation guests.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will sustain and survive until such time that pandemic will will gone through.
Now, given that as well, sir, have you had a number? How many of your members at least had to shut down, and how has that resulted in terms of employment? How many jobs
Well,
were
okay.
lost?
Okay. I will speak in behalf of only the Philippine Hotel Owners Association. We have 70 owners, members of this Philippine Hotel Owners Association. We have 300 hotels operated. However, some of the hotels were not able to really operate that much, but the 71 hotels actually is really operating and occupying most of the OFWs that booked with us by the OWA. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Given that as well, sir, what's your outlook now for the year? Do you expect at least higher revenues compared to last year's?
Well, with the erratic restrictions of travel and the safety and health protocol sometimes is not that being observed by the public, I think we still have to be very conservative enough to project if it will increase or not, no?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is really uncertain
Mm-hmm. But at
until
least when do
such
you
time.
see a return to pre-pandemic growth?
I beg your pardon?
When do you at least see a return to pre-pandemic growth?
Okay. When do we see the sector, you mean recovering, something like that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, nobody can tell until the airlines are flying maybe 2 to 3 years from now. Probably start flying 2024, but still with limited flights. No, we still need to look at the fear factors of the travelers.
Mm-hmm.
No confidence yet. Kapag ka walang confidence, then until such time that we will be able to win the confidence of the travelers, then I think we can see the light at the end of the tunnel that there is really hope that
Mm-hmm.
there will be sector recovering. But until such time that also the vaccines, no, that we are all safe to travel, lahat ng anti-COVID-19 prevention, if you will notice, are still on experimental basis until now.
Mm-hmm.
So we are really looking forward that maybe 2 to 3 years from now, or probably start flying 2024. That
All
will
right.
be the recovery, maybe.
All right. A bit far off into the future there. Again, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Sir Raffy Chico, spokesperson of the Philippine Hotel Owners Association.
Okay, thank you very much, Jess. Let's hope for good.
Of course, sir. Thank you, sir. And those are the biggest news stories this trading day, April 15, 2021. Catch Business World Live again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for the market open and 3:15 p.m. for the market close. I'm Jes Delos Santos. We are One News. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines.